proceedings. As many of you know, we have many people in a variety of communities that watch these proceedings online and via television, and that we want to make our proceedings as accessible to everyone as possible. So the SCR does. I move passage of the SCR. If there's not, I think there's actually some testimony. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I might have been premature in that. Apologize.
Yep, let me check the cards that I'm just getting. We've got Stephanie Patrick not wishing to speak in support. Jimmy Gore not necessarily wanting to speak. If would like, let me know. Ann Steer, National Association of Social Workers, not wishing to speak but in support. Bambi Polizzola, President will provide information from the Governor's Office of Disability Affairs. And then there's Raina Otala, President, and would like to speak. If you could come to the table, please. Jason Isaac, I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, President, and would like to speak. John Veazey from the Deaf Grassroots Movement, please come forward, and you would like to speak. So if you could, let's see, that's 3 people. All right. Go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, Senators. I'm pleased to be here speaking before y'all. My name is John Veazey. I am the Legal Affairs Liaison for the Deaf Grassroots Movement of Louisiana, and we would like to we are very much in support of this joint rule passing. First off, I'd like to ask the senators, even if they don't necessarily consider themselves a part of the deaf community, how many of you know at least a hard of hearing person? I'm guessing most of you. As some of you might know, we have a federal law called the Americans with Disabilities Act that was passed maybe 20-ish years ago. The way that the Americans with the Disabilities Act works is that we want to afford, we want to kind of put people with a disability on the same starting line as those without disabilities, that can be providing accommodation so that they can communicate on an equal basis with the hearing people, or have a way to access information with a full and complete understanding of what the information is, again on the same basis as non-disabled people, and that the ADA does apply to state and local governments. However, it's been a long struggle actually really getting full compliance with the ADA, and that this would be a step forward for Louisiana to somewhat fulfill more of the spirit of what the ADA should achieve here. And I'd just like to say, from personal experience, I've tried to watch committee hearings before online, and it's very difficult. Basically knowing what's going on, I have a tough time. It's better for me in person, but I have a tough time hearing audio over video, and so that would be fantastic to be able to assess these and know what's going on and be able to more fully participate in the political process. And I know that's true of the entire deaf and hard of hearing community in Louisiana. and also this would provide a valuable stopgap in the case of a failure of accommodation. Jimmy Gore will actually be talking about something that happened to him here. So I'll leave that to him to talk about. But basically, having these proceedings be captioned will help to prevent situation where the deaf and hard of hearing wanted to participate directly and to at least know what's going on. So either way, I'll go ahead and turn the, table over to my colleagues here. So go
Great.
ahead.
The good news is that we don't have any cards in opposition.
That's good. That's good to know.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair, committee members, I'm here in support of Senate Resolution number 32. I'm a parent. I'm also involved in the deaf grassroots movement, and I've been recently appointed by Governor Edwards as a commissioner of the deaf. We've been coming here over and over trying to participate in legislation just to inform the deaf community what's going on. And unfortunately, there is no way for deaf community to come here and participate and know what's going on around the state because sessions are not captioned. During the special session, there was information about services that immediately impact the deaf and hard of hearing around the state where deaf could not even participate or comment about. Like at one point, there was comments about service cuts to certain services. I watched it online because I wasn't here. I was appalled of what I heard. So I sent it to other people, went online, looked it up. They had to spend 4 hours captioning what was said to put it out to the deaf community about that specific session. So even though we're in, I think a few years back, they did a census to see how many deaf adults, in Louisiana. There were 78,000 deaf individuals in Louisiana a few years back. I'm sure now it's much more. So having this number of people not accessing what's going on around the state, it's hard, especially if there is new taxes, if there is services cut, if there's things not happening that deaf community don't have the resources to look up and figure out what's going on. This is a problem. What I would like to amend this bill is to include live captioning. We have to call in 2 days ahead to request an interpreter. But if we're going to have things captioned, why don't we have it live captioned? So whoever wants to walk in the Capitol just to spend the day, look at what's going on, they'll have access. So we'll have a TV with the caption available there, in addition to it being recorded and online caption.
So Senator Morrell is handling the bill for the resolution for Senator Colomb, and we certainly don't want to amend it without her being present. But it's something that I'm sure if the bill is successful, which it looks like it should be with no opposition, and getting out of committee is something that we can continue to talk about. Okay? Between now and the floor and the rest of the process. It's a Senate concurrent resolution, so it requires the House vote as well. So we have some time to continue to discuss that. But thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Mr. Gore?
The mic. I'll give you a chair.
Right beside.
I need to
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
We also have a card that was just submitted by Mr. Lewis Wren with the AFL-CIO in support of the resolution. Not wishing to speak.
Hi, hello, Madam Chair
Morning.
and Senators. I want to mention something that's really important to me. I want to share an experience that I had here. I've been really enjoying coming to the legislature and participating. And a few weeks ago, there was a discussion about the telecommunications fund for the deaf being cut. So I came and I showed up and I was ready to say something, and I couldn't because there was no interpreter. There were 4 people there discussing the bill, but there was no way for me to communicate with them. I was completely stuck without communication. And I felt as an American citizen, I was at a serious disadvantage. I'm a smart individual and I'm deaf. And I would challenge any of you to learn a second language the way that I've had to with hearing issues, with being deaf. Having captions would allow not only people who are deaf, but anyone with difficulty accessing the information to read what's going on. You can come and sit down and read what's being said. And I think that captions would convey the information more fully and provide equal access for everyone so that I have the same access that you do. Without it, I feel left out, and that is not right. We need to improve services so that we can have equal access, and so I can share information with my deaf community about what's happening. I was very frustrated when that happened. I came here to try to share with you, as a human and as an American, we should be on equal footing, able to communicate and discuss everything that we need to. I can't hear, I'm deaf, I can't fix that, so what are my other options? The other options are to create changes such as starting captioning that would allow for access and having interpreters so that we can speak up. I mean, there have been so many years that we don't have that, and it is time that we set up captions and have them ready to go for equal access. So thank you for listening.
Thank you for being here. We certainly appreciate your testimony, and I commend Senator Colomb for bringing the resolution. And as I mentioned, the good news is that there's no opposition. And so with that, let's listen to
and I realized I forgot to say my name. I'm so sorry. My name is
Mr.
Jimmy
Gore.
Chalice Gore.
Gotcha. Yes, and I
Yes,
received.
and I'm with Deaf Grassroots Movement, DGM. We represent DGM in the state of Louisiana.
Thank you for all that you do in your advocacy. We are also opening up the resolution for co-authors. I'd certainly like to be one, and I think many of my colleagues on the committee would also like to sign on. Senator Walsworth.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I guess I'm going to ask our governors, but I appreciate, so the sign is adequate, but the captioning would be much better. Is that what I'm hearing today? Would be?
No, captioning would be so that we can read the proceedings that are happening. If I wanted to speak up and participate myself, I would still need a sign language
still
interpreter.
need the sign, too.
Many deaf people still prefer having a sign language interpreter, but others prefer to be able to read the information in English. And if I wanted to speak up, I would need a sign language interpreter because, sometimes I just want to come here to read what's happening and I might not need an interpreter, or to be able to read the proceedings from my home, then I would need captioning. But if I was coming in to participate, I would need an interpreter.
Okay. Yes,
Can I
ma'am.
add something?
Yeah.
During the special sessions, bills were coming so rapidly that we did not have the 48 hours to request an interpreter ahead of time.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what happened with Jimmy when he came. There was no 48 hours to request, and he had to show up to save our budget.
And I think we all apologize for that. I mean, it was just, that's part of the special session that we're in. Things move a little bit faster. So I think that's a learning process, and I appreciate that. So thank you. I guess
All human here, so.
on the captioning, I mean, I guess I'm not used to the technology, I guess. Is that something that can be readily done, or you have to hire that out? How does that?
Okay, I think
guess
there
that
is
works.
a captionist that's taking notes, right?
And that's what you have, is a captionist
The
that would
captionist
take
that's
that?
taking notes,
Okay.
and that will reflect on a big monitor where it shows what the words are being
Okay,
said.
cool. Thank you.
I would like to also to add that we have the deaf rally at the Footsteps of the Capitol on the 4th, May 4th. So please join us to meet other deaf adults
Thank you.
around the state.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And he is probably correct. We are all getting hard of hearing. So my wife says that it's selective hearing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for being here, and the board is clear. I'm hopeful that the resolution makes it all the way through the process. We're about to, I think you got all these co-authors here, and we're about to vote on the resolution. Until that time, which it's implemented, one of the things that I will suggest is that if you ever find yourself during this session, and until this, if it gets in place, to let a sergeant at arms, these folks know immediately, and if there is someone who is deaf that's in the audience that wants to convey their thoughts before this gets in place and needs to testify, get something in writing immediately, to one of these sergeant-at-arms, and I promise you, the chairman of any committee in this building will stop and make sure that if we have to just write until we get this in place and convey that on our own, because we can all, those of us that can hear, and we can make sure that the voices are heard. Okay? And so until that time. So thank you for being here. Members, the board is clear. Senate concurrent resolution number 32 by Senator Colon. Senator Morrell moves to report the resolution favorably. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the resolution is reported favorably. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask
Thank you
Senator
so much for
Vice
your
Chair Bishop to get in the chair, and we're going to have Senator Representative Hilferty, and then we'll have Representative Schroeder Spills right after that.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Representative, I was ready to handle your bill for you. I didn't know if you were in the building or at the hospital or whatever. You got to send a special note over saying, I am actually going to be here today. I'm not out.
I have a feeling this baby's gonna be late though. So.
We would now hear.
Watch, I say that and I jinx myself.